I can hear it. Hello, everybody. Hey, guys, listen. We are without an intro tonight, but not because anything catastrophic happens, just because I'm just flowing into it. This evening, I have a couple of things I just wanted to flow in nicely. I don't know. I'm just feeling a certain way. And that's what we're doing at 7 o'clock over here on the 25th of August, 2026. You know, a lot of crazy stuff going on out there, but it's always good to get together every night and talk with you guys and gals on this digital front porch or the back porch, whatever the hell it is, wherever we get a little bit more privacy, wherever the maple trees can give us a little bit of an enclosure over there, and we can clip those cigars and do our thing, or a hookah. Man, I wish I had a little bit of time to pack a hookah here tonight. I don't even care if Jay Gulinello's in the room. Jay, when was the last time you've been to a hookah bar?
That's a good question. Maybe 6-7 years.
Yeah.
There's one on Steinway Street in an Egyptian place on Steinway Street in Astoria. This is the first and only time I've ever actually been to one.
Did you smoke?
Yeah.
What flavor? Do you remember what flavor it was?
I don't. Everything smelled and tasted the same because the place was just all smells and tastes.
Dude,
I couldn't tell. I was like, oh, this is a very interesting experience.
Is that one of those things where you did a little bit of a little puff and you just, oh, thank you so much, and then that was it, or did you go back to it a few times?
No, just once.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once was enough?
Yeah.
Just to say you did it?
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine.
He doesn't. You don't understand. You don't understand the majestic feeling of having a cumulus cloud emerge from your innards.
I do not.
Where you just tell your diaphragm, go deeper, and then you pull it down to your stomach, and then it's up and.
I can do that. You know, as a singer, your brother would know. You really master the diaphragm. Like you learn how to use that muscle, and So I suppose if I was to become a smoker, I could be the best.
You could be the best smoker out there.
I could be the best.
I don't know. I just figure I'd ask.
Yeah.
But
I have been to one. Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show. It's been a couple of weeks. How's everything been?
Good.
So you were in Massachusetts last week?
I was.
Okay. Were you murdered by any crazy women
I was
while you were
not.
there? No?
I was not.
Strangled by anybody?
I did. I had a really interesting experience at Target.
Oh, that's that's where
this
it would
is the
be.
weirdest thing. I just remembered it because it was one of those things that happened, and then I kind of forgot about it. But I was walking in, and I had headphones on because that's not like a thing that really happens in the suburbs, but I'm so used to it in New York that I just wear headphones. I might have even been listening to your show at the time. I was walking in, and I heard somebody, like, not yelling at me, but clearly was talking to me, and so I kind of caught it out of my peripheral vision. So I pulled out a headphone, and it was a woman who was like half in and half out of her car in a handicap spot, half in, half out of her car. And she asked me, she said, "Are you the guy that sings some song?" And I was like, "No." I said, "I am a singer, but not that song." And then she goes, "Oh, you really look like," it was Train.
I haven't heard
Drops
of that name.
Jupiter, that band? Yeah. That wasn't the song, but she asked me if I was the singer for Train, and I was like, "No, I don't think I look like that guy either."
Let me look at the band.
Yeah. But
this guy?
Yeah, I only vaguely remember what he looks like, and I don't remember feeling like I looked like him.
That guy right there.
Yeah.
I guess she thinks that you look like that guy.
That's the singer.
What's his name? Pat Monahan.
Okay, yeah. So I said, no. And then that quickly ended, right? And she said, and I told her a little bit about, I am in a band. And she said, "You should go on TikTok." And I was like, this is getting weird. And she's giving me social media advice. And then she pulls out of her bag 2 children's books that she said she is the author of. I wish I could remember the names of them. But she said, "I wrote these 2 children's books, and she said, you should take my advice. I've gotten many people famous off of their TikTok accounts. Sometimes I give them one piece of advice, and the next thing you know, they're on The Voice, and I'm just like, what an interesting exchange." And we we talked for a while, and I sort of tried to end the conversation because I just wanted to get on with my errands. And
She discovered pink.
she must have, clearly. And then, interestingly enough, on the way out, you know those scooters that people drive around in the store with the
electric
basket?
ones.
Yeah. On the way out, I kid you not, it's so weird. So on the way in, she caught me. Then on the way out, randomly, I was behind her leaving the store, and she was on one of those scooters, and she got trapped in the door, in the automatic doors. Like the scooter went, and then it made this noise like it was a malfunction, and it like stopped in the middle of the door, and then everyone trying to leave the store were backed up behind her, and everyone's kind of like, well, what do we do? Do we push? What do we do? And nobody from Target was coming over to help her. And eventually I went over and said, is it not working? And she must not have heard me because she was just like, she made some snide remark or something about the scooter, and they just got up and walked off. Meanwhile, just leaving the scooter in the middle of the electronic doors that were trying to close, because it was the weirdest experience that I had gotten caught by her on the way in and on the way out.
You know that
I just remembered that.
That is the mark of a classic side quest. Now, if you were playing a game and you came across I don't know, some sort of a peddler or whatever the hell it is that they come out, or they're standing under a street corner and they go, it's like, they give some kind of an NPC conversation starter, and you can either like ignore them and they'll go, well, to hell with you anyway, right, something like that. Yeah. Or if you interact with them, I'm telling you, if you wanted to, your free will, I don't know, if you wanted to, you could have taken her, like been really interested in what she had to say, allowed her to take the lead, and you could have also exchanged numbers and asked her, okay, so now what do I do next with this TikTok? And let her just train you in what to do, when to post. Imagine it was actually like God coming to you and saying, listen, I sent you. When you go up to the
I regret when you're the whole thing
at the pearly gates one day, Jay, they're gonna say, I sent you that woman all those years ago.
This was the sign you were asking for, you dumbass.
What the hell's wrong with you?
I mean, in fairness, I'm not the kind of person that just brushes people off. I mean, I did give her a while to explain everything, and like I said, enough to the point where she whipped out 2 different children's books that she said she wrote, and they were actually very. I mean, I kept a safe distance, but the covers were striking. I even mentioned that. I said the covers are beautiful. I wish I could remember the names, but I really did give her quite a while. I mean, we must have spoken for it felt like 10 minutes. It was probably closer to like 5, but I did spend some time with her, and we talked, and then I ran into her again on the way out, and so I thought, well, maybe now's the time, and I tried to engage again, but she just got mad at the scooter and left. So it was interesting, and I didn't remember it. It all just left my brain until just now for some reason.
That's what talking to me does.
Yeah, that was a weird interaction.
There is a very ethereal part of what I do. It's not just there's something else. There's another unseen layer to the question that brings something up to the surface that you hadn't thought about in maybe days or years.
Yeah.
Anywho,
well, there you go.
Welcome back. Sal was going to be here tonight, but he had some kind of a grisly procedure done to his scalp. Yeah. He sent me a picture. He said, sorry, man, I can't come on Tuesday. That was on Sunday, and he's just sitting there. I said, what the fuck? There's like blood all over the place. They cut.
Dude, if you wanted to cancel, you could have come up with, you didn't have to go through all that just to cancel. You could have just said, I don't feel like coming.
Slice your head open.
Hey, do me a favor. Cut my head open so I don't have to go on Frank's show.
Make the background look like a hospital.
Yeah. So hopefully he's okay.
No, he'll be back, and thankfully he'll be without whatever the hell was going on. And he'll give us all the details, I'm sure. And if we want, we can look at the cyst.
I'm good.
The cyst that he took out.
I'm good.
We can all look at it.
Oh, he'll bring it in?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
we could play high school biology. We could dissect it.
Did you ever dissect a frog?
I never had to. Which is weird because I remember being in high school biology where they had, and maybe it was an advanced placement class that I wasn't in, which is kind of funny. I remember cats in formaldehyde on the racks behind us. So we would go into the classroom, and there's this one kid that I went to school with. He was a passer outer, and it didn't take much. And anytime we would go into that biology room, and I think that class we were having might have been just like Bio 101 or like Earth Science or something. But anytime the rack of cats were in the back of the room and we would walk in there, he would, he usually sat right behind me.
The dead cats?
Yeah, like the ones that were dissected. He was not happy. He was not having it. And I don't think he was our valedictorian, but he might have been one or two in our class. Very smart guy, but he could not handle much.
People in the chat room, there's a few people who have said, 8th grade, frog, giant grasshopper, and a worm, says be close to God.
I never had that chance.
I'm just reading the general chat. I'm trying to stay in touch with the general chat a little bit more.
Yeah.
Flim Flam Man said, yes, I dissected a frog in middle school.
Middle school? Wow.
Well, yeah, no, it's not that bad. 5th, 6th, 7th grade. I mean, you think about E.T., that's when Elliot was doing it.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we didn't do that stuff until high school. And then again, I didn't even have that class for whatever reason.
I never did, but a rack of dead cats.
Yeah, it was a rack of dead cats.
So with
like an 8-foot tall rack with just cat.
How were they procured? Were they like found dead?
I never asked that question. They were just in plastic bags by the time I saw them.
It's PETA. They got it from PETA.
Definitely. Yeah, it was and I don't at that point I don't think I would have wanted to. At that, I was less than thrilled about the possibility of doing that, which again is funny given now what I do, but I don't think I wanted to do that back then. I was trying to get through those classes. But yeah, I remember the dead cats sitting behind us the whole class, just kind of.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, well, hey, you know what?
None of them ever tried to get off the rack, which is a good sign.
Here's a little something for you. You want to talk about some craziness? Well, I actually saw this really interesting article about there's a building mystery about dead elephants right now, I think in Africa. And nobody knows what the hell's going on with them.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can find it.
You said missing elephants?
Dead.
Dead.
Here, wait. It's in Kenya. Yeah, I just found it. I wasn't going to put it into the show tonight, but since we're talking about dead things, Kenya elephant death mystery deepens as vultures, hyenas feed on carcasses unharmed. How much are we going to lose until we fight to stop this happening?
Wait a minute. Okay.
It says the troubling mystery is unfolding in southern Kenya, where elephants are dying in a major wildlife landscape near Mount Kilimanjaro and the Tanzanian border. Another baffling detail is what happens after the deaths. Vultures and hyenas have been seen feeding on the carcasses without obvious signs of illness, a pattern that undercuts a straightforward poisoning theory. Here's what to know. At least 19 elephants have died in the region since June. And Patrick Papatiti.
You can't make this up.
Patrick Papatiti, head of operations in Olgulului communal lands, said that the local toll has risen to 20 elephants.
So they're assuming that the hyenas and they're not the kill; they're just there for like the scraps.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it reported that the preliminary analysis raised the possibility of cyanide exposure from pesticides used on nearby farms, but field observers say that the theory does not fully fit what they have seen. According to Papatiti, affected elephants become restless, and then they struggle to walk and breathe before collapsing and becoming unable to stand. They lie down until they die.
Well, that does sound like a central nervous system.
That's fucked up, man.
Yeah.
That's more background. I wonder if this is directed energy too.
Oh boy.
Although the die-off comes in the wake of Kenya's severe 2022 drought, local observers say the present conditions do not suggest the elephants are succumbing to shortage of food or water.
Right.
Papatiti said, quote,
You just want to keep saying that, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Currently, we have abundant pasture around. We have water close to where these elephants go. We have protection within the ecosystem that we work. But with pasture and water reportedly available, the scavengers not visibly falling ill after feeding on the carcasses. That's the whole thing, that the hyenas are fine. If they were, the pattern does not point neatly to drought stress or to simple poisoning event. Investigators may be dealing with something more complicated. So,
however, this is interesting. I'm not going to remember the story because, again, I hadn't looked at it in a while. But depending on the toxin, DDT, for example, doesn't poison all animals the same way. For instance, I believe it's geckos that are relatively, because of the half-life, geckos are they can eat they can consume a lot of it. It can be there can be a lot of DDT in their system, but they won't necessarily show the effects. The reason I know this is because there's a whole story. I should tell it to you sometime. It's actually really fascinating. On the island of Borneo, where they were trying to get rid of the mosquitoes. Long story short, the geckos ended up getting exposed to the DDT they were using to kill the mosquitoes, but the geckos survived, but the cats on the island who ate the geckos did succumb to the DDT poisoning. So geckos, not susceptible to DDT, but cats are susceptible. So I'm just saying there are some toxins, depending on what it is, that may affect the elephants, but not affect the hyenas.
So you think all these elephants have polio?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying that whatever's poisoning, if it is a poison, whatever's affecting the elephants may not affect the carnivores that are eating the elephants. Possibly.
Gotcha.
I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
we should get Papa Titty on the show.
We could. Yeah. We could. And I'll tell you one thing. If these elephants were from New Jersey, I would have at least a couple of ideas as to what might have happened. And here is a story from a beach in New Jersey, which has now been closed to swimmers after 60 syringes have been found.
60?
60.
That's a big number.
Okay. A New Jersey beach reopened to swimmers Sunday after it was closed by health officials due to more than 60 syringes washing ashore. Now, listen. These are washed ashore.
Yeah.
Which means...
It wasn't like 60 in a bag.
It's not 60. I would rather it be 60 in a bag.
That's what I mean.
Because now who's going to walk into that water and possibly step on a damn needle that didn't wash ashore with the other ones? Like, that is fucking nuts, man.
No, I know.
My feet are tingling right now. My feet are tingling.
60. I don't know what is there a average number that's found on beaches?
It's New Jersey, so I think that might be low.
And which way depending on the tide, like, I'm assuming they can figure out roughly where they came from?
Yeah, let me see here. News 12 reports New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection said recently heavy rain likely caused sewer overflows that carried debris onto the beach. Oh, this came from
so it's worse.
Sewer.
It's even worse than just syringes.
Worse. It's even worse than somebody just having a party.
It's probably poop in there.
Oh my God! What are we living in?
No, I don't.
What the hell are we living in?
No. Yeah, I don't. That's why I want to move to New Hampshire. I want to find a little pond somewhere, untouched, swim there.
Yeah.
I can't trust the oceans anymore.
Well,
people are gross.
Officials say that much of what washed up was household waste, including insulin syringes commonly used at home.
But they're not. But they're supposed to be disposed of in a specific way.
I know. How do you flush an insulin syringe down the toilet?
I mean, they're small enough that you could do it. But you're not supposed to. You're supposed to put them in a little biohazard thing and bring them somewhere.
Or at the very least, put it into a bag. You snap the top. I remember, doing that for my grandfather. Every once in a while, he'd ask me to put his insulin into his arm. And he used to sometimes he would put it into his stomach, and I'd be like, "Oh, awful shit."
Well, that's how we do with peptides too.
Well, either way, that you put the cap back on and you snap the needle off, and then you can kind of like throw it away or whatever the fuck. I don't know, but that's just crazy that so many of them would wash up in one what? In one water. Like, how can that come from a sewer if they're so bunched together? I can see like...
It's got to be one person. Somebody's reading this story going, uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is
they
Monmouth.
Found me out.
Monmouth County Health Department.
Okay.
So I can't do it anymore.
Hey, at least they closed the beach. I mean, with public health nowadays, and this is one reason you might want to close a beach. Not because, there's a virus out there that loves the beach. You remember when that was happening? Arresting people for not wearing masks on beaches and closing beaches in general. This is an actual reason to close a beach.
Well, one state up, speaking of needles, one state north, New York defies Trump's latest executive order on vaccines that we were talking about this last time you were on.
Yeah.
About, going to bring the childhood schedule down to 11 shots instead of, dozens and dozens and dozens. And of course, New York State Department of Health rejected those changes on, I think this Tuesday or last, arguing that the new federal schedule lacks scientific evidence. I know.
Sorry.
and leaves children vulnerable.
Oh, yeah.
They're the best protection for our children, according to the DOH Commissioner, Dr. James McDonald. New York has the strongest public health standards in the country.
Well, I mean, look, what we're going to see here, perhaps, potentially, is a real world, larger cohort version of the study that was done by Dr. Paul Thomas, I think was his name, in Oregon or Washington, where he ran an experiment on, he was a pediatrician, ran an experiment on his own population, not an experiment on them in the sense that they didn't have informed consent, in the sense that he ran a pediatric practice where he allowed the parents to make their own decisions. They could either go with the CDC schedule, they could go with a modified schedule, or they could go completely without. Ironically and unbelievably, he left it up to the parents. He just informed them on the risks, the benefits, and said, you guys make the decision. Imagine that. What a son of a bitch. But what he did with that data was that he tracked the health of the children over time, and the results are pretty staggering in terms of how well the unvaccinated children fared in the long term in terms of chronic disease. So if some states are going to refuse to alter this schedule, if the schedule holds up after this administration and years go by, unfortunately, we're going to see some results, and it may not be as rosy of a picture as the public health officials in New York think it's going to be.
CJ, again, all it comes down to is this: informed consent and zero liability protection.
Right.
Zero liability protection.
Yeah.
You can't have both.
Right.
I mean, I guess.
I know.
You can have. I mean, you can have both. Yes, you can have both. People can have a choice.
Yes.
And you could also have zero liability
and the
protection.
Manufacturers must be,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of being, because then what you get is you get the illusion of choice, and then when things go wrong, you are gaslit for the rest of your life about how no, it wasn't that. It was the.
We don't know what it is.
We don't know.
But it's definitely not that.
No. Yeah.
And this is we talked about this last time. You cannot have it both ways. If you're truly curious about what it is, you have to exhaust all possibilities. And the gaslighting comes in when they tell you that they have investigated thoroughly all of the possibilities, which they have not. And as we've said before, give me what that schedule is compounded. In other words, not each one of these individually, which in some cases hasn't been done against placebo, but what does that whole schedule look like together? And that study has not been done, and it's there's a reason for it. But that is what informed consent is, as far as I'm concerned. And I don't have the answers. But the thing is, nobody does. And the gaslighting, again, comes in when they tell you that they have. And I was just telling you about a story that Daryl sent me something earlier today about a doctor that's about to plead guilty for fraud at the CDC, or, surrounding our favorite topic of vaccines. So I don't know. I mean, I just think we need actual rigorous science, unlike the kind that the social media doctors will tell you that we already have, because we just don't.
And the ability to sue people who hurt us.
Yes, please.
That's all. I mean,
you can do it everywhere else.
You want to see how few drugs are actually introduced into the market every year without, no. We have to get this down to near zero.
Yeah.
To near zero, where there is just a negligible space for, I don't know if there's a negligible space for just the smallest of margins, just for the fact that everybody's different and sometimes freak things happen. I don't know. But when we're talking about generational numbers in any kind of, the way that people are affected in generational ways, neurodivergent situations, allergies, clusters of any kind of reactions that with a little bit of unbiased investigation would lead us back, I think, to wherever but where everybody's very protective for mostly financial reasons.
Mm-hmm.
They're very protective of the whole thing. And then of course, then political alliances just start kicking in after a while too. So it's just ridiculous. And hopefully one day we live in a sane world. But listen to this. Harvard. Did you hear about this shit?
I did.
This was last week. They ended up paying out $53 million to settle these lawsuits over the theft of body parts that they had over there. So a former morgue manager, their name is Cedric Lodge, admitted to stealing human remains from donated cadavers.
I was going to say these were donated for science.
Yeah. Between the years of 2018 to 2023, and selling parts of, not even just like the whole, like H.H. Holmes. You know what H.H. Holmes used to do?
No.
H.H. Holmes. We learned all about H.H. Holmes when we were reading about the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago.
Okay.
While that fair was going on, H.H. Holmes, who was said to be one of America's first great serial killers.
Oh, that's how the name sounds familiar.
He built this murder mansion in the middle of Chicago. And the entire mansion, I mean, he was a grade A con artist as far as how he would get people's monies, always opening up snake oil businesses, accumulating funds and taking on different personalities. And he built this murder mansion that was essentially going to be a hotel / place, an apartment complex where people can go there and rent rooms from him. But every room was essentially like a unique death trap.
Like Saw, like the movie Saw. Okay, great.
And not only like there were suffocation chambers and everything else. Yeah, I know. And then once a person was killed, the way that he devised a way to dispose of the bodies was like this. He would bring people down into the basement once they're dead, and he would dissolve them in these fluids that essentially would turn them into a skeleton. And not only would he at one point would sell cadavers to universities to be able to be dissected and all that stuff, because he would make fake death certificates and other identifying so that he can sell it.
So he could make money.
Wow. Sell the bodies and get rid of the evidence.
What a scam.
And then after a while, when I think that something, I forgot what happened there where it got a little bit too testy of a situation, he started dissolving the bodies so that all they would be are the bleached white bones of the skeleton. And then he would start selling the skeletons to universities all over the country that would actually have the anatomical skeletons hanging up. So I always wondered, there's no telling how many universities in their attics, in their basements, still have bodies that were handled by H.H. Holmes.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's some sick shit.
That's the true Hotel California. You can check in anytime you like, but you can never leave.
Some sick shit.
Wow.
So, but anyway, when I read this whole thing here with this guy, Cedric Lodge, he admitted to stealing remains. So it could be full bodies or
pieces,
just a hand, a leg.
What do you need?
A wing or a leg. And the stolen remains included heads, faces. So just like would remove faces, and brains, of course, some Frankenstein shit.
Yeah.
The Lodge was Cedric Lodge ultimately sentenced to 8 years in prison, but the families argued that Harvard failed to properly safeguard the remains, and now they've paid out $53 million.
This feels like it's bigger than one guy.
Oh,
I mean, one guy?
Between 2018 and 2023?
That's what I mean.
He was just doing what he wanted to do for 5 years. It had to be somebody else. But the whole thing here, it reminded me of this other story, a recent story. People were donating their bodies, and sometimes they were following through with the wishes of their parents to donate bodies to science. And I remember one person, it got out that a family was suing one organization or another. They're making a big legal stink out of it because their mother's body, which she wanted to be able to give to science, hopefully somebody can find a cure of something, whatever the fuck. Everybody always does it with good intentions. They used her body for bomb testing in the desert down in like New Mexico or Arizona.
I mean, that is science.
It is science. It's ballistics.
Yeah.
It's, shit like that. But just you think about like the remains of a parent being strapped into a car and blown up to see how a new explosive handles that. I mean, like I would never, ever give anything willingly to anybody.
I know. And I used to think that way too.
Not a toenail. Not a toenail, man.
Because you think about, Leonardo da Vinci. And, at one point they had to steal bodies to actually truly learn about human anatomy. I mean, it was really important science being done, but that's sort of, I guess it's idealistic now. It's because I'm sure there was corruption back then too, but I don't know, now it seems like less of a good idea. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. And here's the whole thing, man. I've expressed this to you so much over the years, but especially over the months that, Lauren is 7 months pregnant.
Oh.
7 months pregnant. Babies arrive at 9 months. It's like we already know how.
There's no going back now.
We know how fast a year goes by.
Yeah.
How fast a year goes by. It goes by super fast when this is going on. And I think about it because the biggest challenge that I have come across over not only this stretch of time, but everything since 2020 is I realized that my main mission with doctors is whenever I'm in a room with them, like I always love talking to doctors because their level of knowledge, their knowledge and their oath and all that other stuff meant I can talk to them and get answers about something that might be bothering me, something that I can't put two and two together. Perhaps they can help me figure something out so that I can live a little bit more, I don't know, better, whatever the hell it is that's going on. And I don't have any problems, but I'm just saying it was always comforting to know that they're there. And when it came time for a physical, I just lay it all out on the table, cough and hopefully everything's all right and say, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. And then the only thing I ever hated was the fact that I knew that they were going to want to take some blood. And when I was a kid, the reason why I really just did not like going to doctors is because, oh man, am I going to get a needle? Outside of that, I kind of like going to doctors. Now I realize that everything is just about trying to manage their personality as if I am in a high stakes negotiation with some kind of an oil tycoon, somebody who has it all and it's just all ego. I am just trying to figure out a way to be able to get what I want out of the direction for my care, my wife's care, our incoming child's care, how to get a path plotted out that we are good with, that could be expressed in a way that doesn't trigger any of their fucking issues. Because they have issues, man.
I know.
They got fucking issues. And it's really uncomfortable. It's really just about how we can preserve life without anything else. It's getting triggered. Like they're the most easily triggered people out there.
Yeah, I mean, I told you before, it's ironic that the word doctor comes from the Latin to teach. And we don't really... if somebody out there has had a bad experience with a doctor and they look at that as a negative thing, which I understand because that's kind of how this whole thing started with me. It was a really bad experience with a doctor who had been my doctor for quite a while. But as soon as I engaged in some self-experimentation, which now is a routine thing for me, essentially I've become my own doctor, but you start to realize just how rigid their thinking is. But I think anybody out there that's had that experience, I believe that if you leverage it in the right way, it's actually a blessing because it shows you the true nature of some of these doctors. And I don't want to paint with a broad brush. It's just that too many of them are that way now, and they're defending an orthodoxy that doesn't deserve defending. And they're defending a way of doing things that doesn't deserve defending. And they don't even realize that their field has shifted beneath their feet. And the systems that they are hell-bent on preserving are going to be the very systems that relegate them to total obsolescence. And I've said this a million times on this show. If doctors continue to practice medicine in this way where they look at a number and they go, well, it's black and white. You're either above the number or you're below the number. If you're above the number, we give you this drug at this milligram dose. And if you're below the number, you're fine. Or we give you this other drug at this other milligram dose. And that is something that can be done, like I said, it's like vending machine medicine. It's so overly simplistic to not look at the system of the body, to not take the patient's true history into account, their goals, there's so many examples I want to share with people, obviously without betraying confidence, But
I've got. Well, listen, you just set me up perfectly for something.
well, I mean, like I have somebody who just recently that I was working with in my day job that in 10 weeks with me, they've lost 22 pounds. Their BMI is like in the mid 20s. So like they're really having this great time. Everything's going well. And now the doctor wants to put them on a GLP-1, which again, like that's a whole separate conversation. You know, GLP-1s, like that's evolving. We understand more now than we did before. And my assessment of the drugs has evolved, and the dosing is very complex. It's not black and white. But what I was shocked at is the fact that this person is having real progress, and the doctors are still insistent on introducing things that have potential downsides, and there's no reason for it because they're making lifestyle changes and they're succeeding, and the doctors are still insisting on intervening in that way. And I don't know what to make of some doctors who don't. Again, if you're going to practice medicine this way, you're going to be sorry because someday they're not going to need you because you're not doing anything creative. You're not doing anything that requires creativity or critical thinking skills or taking there was a thing called precision medicine for a really long time, which ironically, a lot of papers were published in the late, like 2017, 18, all this precision medicine. And then 2020 rolled around. And I commented on this quite often during that whole period on my Instagram, which was like a rolling, diary of my thoughts. And I'm like, precision medicine 2 years ago was a thing. Now it's been completely stomped out in favor of everybody must take this. It's cookie cutter medicine. Everybody needs this thing or else you're all going to die. And those doctors, they've lost the trust of the public, and rightfully so, because they abandoned what was an emerging principle that really would have gotten us further along in public health, which is precision medicine. And that just doesn't happen anymore.
Let me. This was shared 2 weeks ago by a health enthusiast page on Instagram.
Oh no, I hate influencers.
Oh, I don't actually know what's on there. No, it's all. Let me see here. It's called Sama Lifts or something like that. Let me see here. Carnivore. It's like a diary kind of thing. Heavy lifts, low reps, stoic. So just talking about whatever. But it's a lot of just top tens and shit like that. But there was one thing that popped up, and I don't know how right the numbers are, but I know that this way of thinking is 100% the way we are right now. And I have a little bit of personal experience with the blood sugar aspect of things, with what's going on, and of course how because Lauren going into her third trimester, they want to manage just to check how her blood sugar is from time to time, and they get really manic about things, especially fasting glucose levels and all that stuff, and the whole black and white thing, it's coming out. It's coming out of the woodwork right now. So, with disclaimers that I'm bringing it to you for some thoughts here, and I don't know how accurate this information is, here's what it says. 1979, diabetes starts at 140, the glucose. 1997, it's lowered to 126. In 2003, pre-diabetes lowered to 100. So, overnight, a third of Americans are now ill, considered in some way ill. Hypertension. 1984, hypertension is considered at 160 over 95. 2017, it's lowered to 130 over 80. 31 million new patients over the course of a morning. 2001, cholesterol target is 130. 2004, lowered to 100. 8 of 9 authors were on statin payrolls. I don't know.
They must be specifically talking about LDL in that, because as far as I know, the total cholesterol was never that low. So they must be specific. Based on the numbers, I'm going to assume they're talking about LDL.
And of course, and then the last thing that they say as kind of like, a closing line is your grandfather was healthy at 145 over 92, and you are ill at 132 over 81. So I wonder how you parse up something like that, because I know that there is systemic truth in how certain just like the numbers are put out there, and then all of a sudden it's a standard that is set, which again is just taken at face value. There's never any other corroborating things that go into anything take into consideration. It's just, what are the numbers and how do you stack up against it? And if you don't, here are your medication options. I understand that so I just wonder where you are from the history of this evolution of this system here.
So this is like such a huge topic, and it has a variety of different angles we could approach it from. And so I'll try to go through some of them. I wasn't aware of doesn't surprise me, the blood sugar component. I was aware of the hypertension and I was aware of the cholesterol component. I wasn't aware that the blood sugar numbers dropped. Now, just for people's understanding, in the 1970s, I pulled up something from University of Minnesota. There's a few researchers there. I wrote about this quite a bit. Most clinical laboratory forms at the time in the 70s used 300 milligrams per deciliter to flag abnormal cholesterol levels. That's total cholesterol of 300. If it was less than 300, a doctor wouldn't even pay it any mind. So that's interesting. And the numbers kept getting lower and lower over time. I actually saw a really interesting graph about all about the different times when the numbers have been lowered. And there is definitely an element to when a medication is created to manage a particular blood marker and it's effective at changing the blood marker, lowering it, raising it, whatever it may be, that number tends to aggressively change. So that is an absolute truism. Now, the blood sugar component, I think also we have to look at this and say, it's possible that the markers are coming down because what we're starting to realize is that disease, and this may be a good thing, is that in some cases disease does begin earlier. And when you change the number, specifically I'm talking about blood sugar, because I do think that understanding blood sugar levels in an individual are important, and that one of the fallacies that we work on today and that doctors work on today is that a fasting blood sugar of, I think that said originally was 140 and then they moved it down to 126. If you're waiting, and this is what most doctors do, if they wait for your blood sugar to go over 126, then you're now all of a sudden diabetic. But the problem is the systems working in the background that were struggling to keep up, that eventually lost control of the system that allowed your blood sugar to get over 126, they were still working in the background for decades. So to be able to get out ahead of a disease, like for me, I use functional lab ranges that are actually more conservative than some of those. But I have a different point of view on cholesterol because I think that's been unfairly maligned. And blood pressure also, I think, is context dependent. Blood sugar, however, is the one area in there, and that's why this is so complex, that I actually do think lower in general is better, but still you have to see it in context. Because if I see a fasting blood sugar of 100, I might go, that's a little high, but let me see what else is going on. And if I look at your A1C, which is a longer term average blood glucose, and that's good. And then I run your insulin, which is telling me how much work the pancreas is doing to control that blood sugar, and that's nice and low. And then I see no inflammatory markers, and I see, then I start to think, okay, well, maybe for this individual, and depending on, remember, that blood sugar marker is a spot in time. That's all it is. It's just telling you about that spot in time, which is why it's so important in context to get markers that tell you longer term period and what the rest of the system is doing. I can make an argument for a higher fasting blood sugar as not being problematic in the context of a healthy metabolism. However, I would also say if you've got a relatively elevated fasting blood sugar that I don't like, and your insulin is super high, and your A1C is also very high, then I look at that fasting number and I might interpret it differently. So you see, you really do have to understand the full context and understand the system. The thyroid is another perfect example of this. The thyroid operates on a feedback loop where levels of T3 and T4 are going to negatively feed back on your TSH levels. And if your TSH levels start to rise, that's usually indicative of a thyroid problem and where doctors will intervene. But the reason I run a TSH and a T4 and a T3 is because I want to see how the system is working.
Gotcha.
So that's the big difference. And so a lot of those labs need to be taken into context. And I know that was kind of a long explanation, but because I don't think that's necessarily wrong or right. And I think each case is a little bit independent.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's it.
You have to understand the whole system, and that's why it's hard.
See, that's why I knew that there's got to be there's a black and white aspect to it, and then there's also something else from both sides.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway. So that's what I really
This
had.
is why you have to be able to
Some of the
trust
good,
your doctor too, because if
there's none of that.
I know, but like if you have a good doctor that would take the time to explain that to you, then you have a good doctor.
Well, yeah, I know, but I think most people are just trying to be as diplomatic as they can to be able to still maintain some access to hospitals when you do need them,
right?
And not be completely blackballed by people. It's sad that this is what's gatekeeping.
It shouldn't be an adversarial relationship.
I know, but it seems adversarial because the second you have too many questions, they almost feel like, why are you asking questions?
And for the most part,
nobody does.
Again, doctor is about teaching, and so the questions should actually be informative. But I think sometimes, and I saw this at the hospital, when you ask too many questions, what you start to reveal is actually the lack of understanding that a doctor might have. And that's when the ego kicks in. They're like, well, this person's asking questions that I don't know, and therefore they're not relevant.
Some good news that I got some good news. This was today. From caffeine to triglyceride. What the hell is this? Coffee has surprising link to muscle biology. What the hell is triglyceride?
I don't know. Trigonelline.
Trigonelline.
I'm going to take a look while you read.
So I just thought it was fun. A recent study published in a journal Food and Function, researchers reviewed evidence on the effects of coffee and its bioactive compounds on skeletal muscle health. Coffee is widely consumed beverage value for its stimulating effects, organoleptic properties, and potential health benefits. It's a major source of bioactive compounds such as caffeine, hydroxycinnamic. What is that?
I can't say.
Hydroxycinnamic.
Okay. Trigonelline is a byproduct of niacin metabolism, vitamin B3. Very interesting.
So, so the study says in present studies, researchers reviewed evidence on the effects of coffee and its bioactive compounds on SM health. First, a systemic literature research was conducted across multiple databases to identify that they're actually, I don't know, there's a lot. There's several in vitro studies indicated that caffeine could reduce myotube diameter and protein synthesis and promote cell death, although many used concentrations considerably higher than those typically achieved in humans after. So I'm just looking at all this other stuff. They always and again, next month we'll be told the coffee is going to kill you, the salt is going to kill you. So I just want everybody to know.
And in those, almost always, when they're telling you, you have to look for the word is associated with. That's very important, because what that's telling you is that it's a study that's done on an observational basis, which means they cannot infer causation. So you look for that word associated, and I'm not saying you can leave it aside. I'm saying the word associated is the beginning of the hypothesis. It is not the be all end all. So that's where you'll see studies that say one day, eggs are good, eggs are bad. Coffee is good, coffee is bad. If you're seeing the word associated, then you just take it as information. You go, okay, but it does not tell you that it is a causal relationship. And that's very, very important. There's just too many factors, as I just even highlighted in something as simple, not so simple, as blood sugar. So, but this is interesting. Yeah. Trigonelline is a zwitterion, which is formed by the methylation of the nitrogen atom of niacin, vitamin B3. Well, there you go.
All right.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm going to go to Super Chats. We're going to open up the lines in a little bit, but now I want to get into some cultural stuff.
Okay.
Some really awesome stuff. And the first thing is going to be this. Everybody who was here for the Jamboree, and if you're also here for the Spring Fling, both, either or, whatever, then you had the honor of meeting Dominic the Ice Cream Man. Well, Dominic, the singing ice cream man, he just got a spot on Fox News New York.
Oh, wow.
And I want to play it here because, again, in October of 2027, you'll be able to meet Dominic. And this is, we all watched, I saved this and we watched it as a family on Sunday. And we had our fun with it. I texted him. I said, hey, congratulations on your spot. I didn't get a text back, by the way, so I already got big time.
He just big timed you. I was just going to say.
Big timing me.
Oh.
Okay. I'm on Fox now. Anyway, take a listen to this. Here we go. Let me, the one thing that they're not going to play is You Can Ring My Bell because of, copyright issues.
Yeah.
But take a listen to this. This is his big spot on Fox News the other night. Fox 5.
Nothing Beats a cold cone on a hot afternoon, and one local driver is giving you something extra. He is serving up soft serve with a side of Sinatra. Fox 5's Richard Jacobus introduces us to Westchester's singing ice cream man.
Soft serve on a hot August afternoon, there's nothing quite like it.
Princess, I'll see you next time.
But from this particular ice cream truck, you're getting more than just a swirl on a cone.
Woman, don't you know with you?
Meet Dominic Ranieri, the self-proclaimed singing ice cream man.
You get to be
I love that
Santa
picture.
Claus, 8-9 months a year.
Dominic discovered his natural vocal talent way back in kindergarten, but after decades of trying to break through in musical theater, the road to the top was rocky.
Meal de Bec in South Pacific. I played the French Planter. I've done Daddy World Books.
Wow.
I played
Nice.
in Guys and Dolls. Con Ed will not accept 3 songs as payment. So I got to make something for a living.
So Dominic opened his own ice cream truck and became an instant neighborhood sensation, a songman with a Sunday, belting out everything from Sinatra to Manilow, even Dino.
Everybody loves somebody sometime. The little girl came up to me. It's you. It's really you. And I served her father as a child.
I served her father in Vietnam.
And everything else. And you really realize that you are important to people. And it's like, they'll come up to you, they'll melt.
And it's not just the ice cream melting. Hearts are too. Dominic even helps patch up relationships on request.
I'm a little bit on the outs. I wanted to sing a nice love song for my girlfriend.
Okay, now I don't know.
What?
Okay, this next part right here, we were all like,
Is this manufactured?
I wonder if this is manufactured because we never actually see the girl.
Oh.
But listen here, so here you go.
Even helps patch up relationships on request.
I'm a little bit on the outs. I wanted to sing a nice love song for my girlfriend.
On the day we showed up, Dave just happened to be on the outs with his girlfriend. Yeah, the love was on the rocks. So cue Dominic with a love song to mend their broken hearts.
All the way, happy to be near you.
What?
What is he doing?
I don't know.
Why does he think this is going to
Whether
work?
it's a cone, a cup, a shake,
He just
or a
stands
broken
there?
heart, Dominic is serving through song across Westchester and Connecticut 7 days a week. And you know what, Dominic? You did it your way.
I faced it all, and I stood tall, and did it my way.
Okay.
I think we should go on the road. In Portchester, Richard Giacobus, Fox 5 News.
At least that guy wasn't tone deaf. He better be careful because his girlfriend might fall in love with Dominic. He was the one doing all the work, and this guy's just standing there,
Standing there. I said, I don't know if this
looking
happened.
like it's a high school picture.
I'm
What?
gonna ask Dominic if that really.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I was on the outs with Lauren and I had Dominic show up, I don't think it's gonna move the needle that much.
I don't think so either.
I don't think it's gonna move the needle.
You got to do better.
Maybe it'll be somebody else. And Lauren's not very high maintenance. But I don't think that's gonna work.
Yeah.
Anyway, good for Dominic. I left a I left the comment under there. There's my comment. I said, Dominic literally saved my life. Nobody liked it. There's Anthony.
Oh,
Anthony said the best.
that's
I'll like that.
That's good.
And I'll like my own too. No, that's pathetic.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
I'm going to dislike
dislike
mine.
it.
Okay. Anyway,
The sympathy vote now.
somebody please go and like my comment.
Come on, guys.
To balance out my dislike.
He saved it. He saved Frank's life.
Okay, so here's a good segue for this next part. You heard the non-regional diction of the Fox 5 newswoman.
Yes.
Okay. I was looking into this recently.
This is an interesting topic.
It is an interesting topic. I told you I wanted to do it, and once I got into it, I found several other things. So I was reading this, and I was looking into this, how regional, there's a lot of reports out there, more than you would think, about how regional accents are disappearing throughout the United States. And here's what I had. So I had this, our regional accents have have always been one of the easiest way to identify where American comes from. New York, Boston, Appalachia, the Deep South, Texas, Upper Midwest, and dozens of smaller regions developed recognizable ways of speaking, sometimes distinctive enough to identify not only a state, but a particular city or neighborhood. Like for example, you can tell between Brooklyn and Long Island, and I mean, there's very distinct things there. Some of those distinctions are now fading. Researchers in the University of Georgia, Georgia Tech, studied recordings of native Georgians born from the late 19th century through the early 2000s. They found that traditional Georgia accent changed dramatically beginning with Generation X. Some of the vowel patterns associated with the classic Southern drawl decline, while younger speakers increasingly adopted pronunciations found elsewhere in the country. So we got over here a University of Georgia study. It's
Show's about to start, kids. He's just looking for a drum roll, getting very dramatic.
UGA Today. This is from September of 2023. The Georgia accent fading fast. It goes into it, that part. Now, there's another one. The phenomenon is greatly described as dialect leveling. Differences between regional dialects become less pronounced as populations and speech communities interact. Georgia is not alone. Researchers have documented changes in eastern New England. Boston only really comes out of you every once in a while.
I've never had it though. So, but
yeah, but when you say Martha's Vineyard, you every once in a while you say Martha's. It comes out like, shit, you're from Massachusetts.
There's some funny stories about this. There are some things that ever since I was a kid, because everyone around me had an accent, I thought that was the way things were. I thought that was the way things were actually properly said. There's it was famous in my family. I have a cousin who, her whole life, her name is Norma, like Norma Jean.
Uh-huh.
And everybody in my family calls her Nama because they dropped the R. I thought her name was Nama because that's how everybody in my family said it. And only one day did I see it written. I was like, who the hell is that? like Ace Ventura. Who the hell is that?
That? Wait, hold on a second. Wait a second.
Who the hell is that?
I actually just added that.
Nice.
I just added that last week.
Nice.
Oh, I love that line.
So anyway, that's
Who the hell is that?
so that there is a reason for that. Sometimes when it comes out, either I'm tired or sometimes I actually thought that was the way the word was written originally. But anyway, continue.
It's coming out over here. We have Cambridge University Press, dialect change in Eastern New England. University of Texas. Do you speak Texan? There's no single explanation. Migration is important. Cities such as Atlanta, they've attracted a lot. But now from there, this is where I found something else. I found this article. It's called American Diner Gothic by Robert Mariani. And I started looking into it. The 2020s, the weird soul of placeless America is being born on Discord servers. I'm like, what the fuck? What is that? What could that possibly mean? Yeah. But I started digging into it a little bit more. Essentially, Jay, what it comes down to is that the author's basic argument here is that regional America isn't disappearing because everyone is physically moving to the same places, though migration has some kind of an aspect of it there. And, carpetbaggers from the Midwest coming to New York and LARPing about, and then all of a sudden it's their city and they want to tell you how to be progressive and growing it. We're for the most part, we're staying put. We're actually not moving around the country as much as we think we are, while increasingly inhabiting the same culture, we're all inhabiting similar culture through the internet. That the internet is at least a part of a leveling out of things that's going on, and that local America, I have one excerpt over here, how local America is flattening. They say regional accents, styles, institutions, businesses, aspirations, and cultural peculiarities are weakening. Buffalo is still physically Buffalo, essentially. Rural Wisconsin is still Wisconsin. But younger people increasingly participate in the same culture regardless of where they live because they're getting it digitally.
Right.
The other thing here is when it comes to, moving, a cultural convergence, he called it, is happening in place. The internet pours into this vacuum, as Mariani is saying over there. Said he talks a lot about Discord, TikTok, anime. How you got anime in Target, for example. They talk about in this article. Anime is in Target, whereas it used to be very niche. You had to go somewhere else for it, and it's just dispersed everywhere. That construction workers I don't know. They have. It's like what was it? It said something like now an Amazon warehouse worker in Ohio is and the kid living with his parents in Pennsylvania all inhabit essentially the same digital culture. But here's the most important thing that he said. It's not just internet alone. He said that economic stagnation creates an open door for all of this stuff. And whereas we used to get a job, move out, get married, buy a house, you have children, you accumulate something, and you become part of a community. There's a lot of that. If there's a lot of that going that has just been ripped out of people's expectations for themselves right now. There's a lot of people who are 25 years old or so and whatever, and they don't believe that progression in life is something that is realistically available to them anymore. So what people like Robert Mariani of this American Diner Gothic article was saying, because it gets into accents as well, is that you start, because you don't believe that progression in life is there for you, that your physical surroundings actually become less important to your identity. And it actually contributes to your not caring about keeping traditions alive and things like that, because there's nothing there for that. That tradition was something that somebody else could afford. It was more important to people in the past who had, an actual tether to it.
Right.
And that you find now it's easier to establish status and friendships and entertainment and sexuality and creativity and some kind of a sense of belonging online. And online, of course, all that is really available to people are these niche identity fads and crazy shit. And it's almost like, people are adopting alternative metrics for success. And along the way,
followers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really all makes geography irrelevant to culture in many ways. And I went and I put that out there. And I asked people on the community post on the Quite Frankly YouTube, and I shared it about. We have about 150 votes right now. But I asked this, do you feel like where you grew up still has its own distinct culture? And of course, leave comments for context. And I only gave 3 options. I said, absolutely, unmistakably local, 22% of people. That's the lowest. Yes, but it's disappearing, came in at 30%, and 48% said not anymore. Huh. And wow. I'm not going to blame the internet for everything, because I actually think that the driver, what disconnects people, what makes them feel hopeless, where they don't have any reason or any real, because I see this happening up in upstate New York. We love going to upstate New York because it gives us a little bit of contrast from around here, where you don't have the buzz of the highways. It's nice. You can just bring your friends, your family to a place and just go on a retreat for a little while. But if you go into the local, just the local areas, I don't know, man. I don't see that. I don't see people that really look like they got a lot of identity. At least in the places that we go to. Yeah. And I'm always happy to hear that there are people in the audience that say, hey, there's still Friday night lights in my place. There's still, homecoming rallies and prom kings and queens. And I'm happy for that. Yeah. But there is definitely a leveling out and a flattening out of things that used to be very, very well-defined, I don't know, like kingdoms. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to know what percentage, because clearly mass communication and mass transit have changed things to a great extent. I mean, I don't know the figures on this, but I mean, I would imagine that 100 years ago, it would have been more likely that you would have stayed within a certain geographical distance to where you grew up.
And maybe that is because the things that you're talking about were also more attainable. But then, and then you also have to think of this from the bigger picture, right? Like if there were people that wanted to, control a population, what better way to do that than to homogenize everything, right? Like I when I go to different places, is interesting. I don't know if you have seen this, but I was on Airbnb because I was looking at something for the talk that we're going to give at the Drip Bar in October, right? I want to stay up here just rather than travel 25 miles from my apartment. And there's this new thing that has a map of all the places you've stayed, which is actually pretty cool. So it's a map of the US and it shows me all the places I've stayed as long as I've been with Airbnb. And I looked at it and I was like, I've been all over the place. Like from West Coast to East Coast, South, North, I've been all over the place. And it was really kind of cool to see. But it just kind of makes me think about what I've experienced when I've gone to those places. And, I seek out, like in Texas, like I would not go to a chain ever. When I was in Tennessee, I didn't want to go eat or purchase food or whatever at a chain. I wanted to find like a little hole-in-the-wall, family-owned, one-of-a-kind barbecue place or a coffee shop. I didn't want to go to a Dunkin'. What are you, crazy? Like a Starbucks? No. I want to find a family-owned coffee shop because I feel like those may be the only places left where you can find that culture. And then the question is, and I think you and I are probably on the same page here, is that's a devastating thing for a community, but also on a larger scale for a nation to continue to exist in any way. If I went to, I was saying this to you before, if I went to Japan, I don't want to experience Americanized Japan. I want to experience Japanese culture. Like I want to celebrate the fact that these
You don't want a
cultures are all
Japanese
different.
Whopper?
I don't. I do not. And
You don't want a little taste of home?
no, that's why I'm leaving home. And so that's the whole, so then you have to start to think about that, right? It's that homogenization of the culture. I mean, if people don't have anything to lean their hat on or to be proud of, that's a really good way to depress a population. And
it's an example of how it really, the culture is hurt, especially in regions like this, in ways that are not even really fine-tuned to destroying them.
Right.
How just socioeconomic conditions can really just take a person out of it. There's a person in the chat room right now. Their name is Trey Emery. Says 25-year-old here. And I think I speak for a lot of people when I say the American dream and an American culture to be proud of is slipping from our grasp like grains of sand. Yet the most terrifying part is that no one will care enough to do anything about it. Well, that's because where we are right now for young people, they might be disillusioned and they want more than what they have and whatever. And for the most part, it gets to a point where you're so exhausted from the strain and the stress of wondering how you're going to establish anything for yourselves or just being able to have an apartment and not be moving around every couple of years until you find something that's rent control, just to be independent, that it gets to the point where you almost have like disaster fatigue. And that's why, aside from the fact that people have been absolutely marinated and steeped in this ridiculous socialistic communistic left-wing way of thinking of the world and how you can be egalitarian with money and limited resources and spread them out to everybody and give everybody a good life and not actually kill everybody in the process. So off the bat, people are not playing with a full deck.
Right.
And then on top of it, they're exhausted. Even people who came from older generations and had a lot more opportunities to amass a little bit of savings, go on a couple of vacations every year, do it all with one income and shit like that. Even that, the memory of the past is not going to put the money in your pocket. This is what we're living right now. No. So it's not even just like whatever. There are people who were trying to warn everybody in the 60s where we were going.
I know.
And they were called kooks.
Yeah.
So, you can't throw them under the bus when everybody does all the boomer bashing and shit like that.
Yeah.
And, it's just nuts. So I hope that anybody in the audience who has insight like that, anything you want to talk about, especially from I'm telling you, first thing I thought about was upstate New York. There's a lot of people who just shuffle around.
Yeah.
And you could say, well, listen, you're in a rural area, things are a slower pace, and I appreciate that. That's why you like. But there's another thing where there's not any. I don't know, where it doesn't seem like there's a very conducive, people are not, I've never been in I've never seen people yelling to each other across the street, knowing each other up there.
Yeah.
And we've gone up there for years. So as far as connection goes and things like that, I just wonder.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to work hard to establish or maintain those kinds of things. And one of the best ways to do it, obviously, is to, you need to be very judicious about your time that you spend on social media and the internet in general, because it is so easy to get wrapped up in the fact that is life, and everything coming out of your screen is life, but it's not. And the sort of like, what is it? Blood and sex sell, right? Like, so the things that you're gonna. The things that are rewarded in the algorithm are always catastrophic, and they're always doomsday, and they're always those things. It's so hard even to get your algorithm to start feeding you uplifting. Like I do experiments every once in a while where I will not, even if it's a story that I'm following, that I'm working on, something in my field that I agree with, I won't like it. I won't even, and I suppose by stopping to read it, the algorithm knows I've done that. So I suppose I'm not totally disconnecting, but I'm trying to intentionally find things that are outside of what I would normally stop on and read and like to see if I can manipulate it to start sending me more positive things. And it's like, it's real work. And so if you're kind of approaching it unconsciously, you're going to get sucked into that. And so I tell everybody, you need to get out there and go to a local ice cream shop or go to a local whatever and get to know those people, like a local diner or whatever it is, and reestablish those connections, because that, I think, is the only way in this day and age to fight back. And it may not win the game, but this isn't about you being able to affect society. This is about you trying to create something for yourself that is more sustainable and that is a happier existence, because a lot of things are working against us, which is why we talk about doing these meetups as often as we can, because how important is that? You cannot live your life through a screen. You can't do it.
No.
I mean, you can, but it's not a full life.
It's not real, and it's even less real now than it was before. Like,
right.
I've talked about this in all my because now, unfortunately, a big part of the work that I do is on top of writing for the show and building for the future, and just trying to bring all my ideas and my dreams bring it to fruition. I also have to do constant research on how the internet is changing.
Yeah.
And what we're doing now is you have to fucking realize right off the bat, social media is an old way of describing the websites and the platforms, the apps that we're on. It's not social anymore, and I'm talking technically.
Yeah.
I know that the behavior on there becomes antisocial, and the way that this technology has impacted us has actually influenced people to act so outside the bounds of how they would in a real social situation.
Oh, absolutely.
So we know that the social aspect of it has been completely mutated right off the bat. But as far as how media used to be social, in the way that you made a new friend on MySpace, Facebook, wherever the hell it was at first, you made a new friend there, you made a new contact, you found a fan page you like, and when you follow it, you get it.
Right.
It is interest media. It's not social media. It's like an interest media, and it creates a really stupid, and it's not, the algorithm is absolutely retarded. It's not cool. It's not high tech. It's not intelligent at all. It creates an obscene feedback loop so quick, based on sample size of people and their watch times. It creates a ridiculous feedback loop that escalates and spins out of control so quickly that it makes the worst local disasters seem like something that has everybody gripped in it.
Right.
We're talking about this murder trial in Massachusetts. This is a bigger example than most, because I mean, the people are coming out of the woodwork. It is making its way to mainstream media and all that shit. But for even little things, by the way that these algorithms amplify things in like a echo chamber kind of a way faster than ever before, because it's not social. It's actually the mechanics of the platforms themselves. It has nothing to do with people actually wanting it.
It's a very interesting observation and reframing of it being interest media, because that, you're right, that is exactly what it is.
I know, and the interest is not even authentic.
Yeah.
I mean, you need authentic interest there too, but we know that people are gaming the system. We know how all the marketers are gaming the system by marketing their stuff on the comment sections in Reddit, because they know that you know, ranking on the internet is actually pulled from what people are saying on Reddit. So when everybody knows the inside baseball, you have to understand it only goes. It goes so much farther than we said in the past. We always remind each other, guys, remember, this weekend, get outside. That's real life. And, you know, it's serious. Now, there's people coming into the comments over here. I want to read a few of these. But, you know, it's 8:15, and I just wanted to say one more thing. This was sent to me before, real quick on a health level there. I saw this. And then I reached out to Molly about it, and I just noticed Molly from KetoBrainz is in the chat room.
Hey, Molly.
It's an acetylcholine deficiency study. That a state of deficiency for acetylcholine, that it is also a state of like bile deficiency. I read it over here: low stomach acid, pancreatic enzyme deficiency, all this other stuff. And then I saw Molly pop up in the comments and said, you know, this is very interesting, because not taking a dive into the acetylcholine gut connection, but many of our customers swear our nootropic creamer with 300 milligrams of alpha GPC actually has fixed or improved their gut issues. And so I just wanted to put that out there again, guys, because they're a wonderful sponsor of ours. Molly's in there, and we're talking about some health stuff mixed into everything else here tonight. That improve the quality of your real life with the creamer, and also the nattokinase, which I just ran out of last night. So I've been taking that religiously. Yeah. And so please, for gut issues, you don't have to put it in coffee. If coffee disrupts your system, whatever, put it in something. Protein shakes, cottage cheese, whatever the hell it is. I'm putting the link in the chat room for the August special, which is going to be up in a couple of days, and then we're going to see who wins this $500 this pack over here with the red light mask. You look like Darth Vader.
Yes.
And then there's more creamer. There's the BPC 157, the nattokinase, everything you need and more. And of course, if you don't win, you still have the best.
You still win.
Nootropic stack out there, and you got to get the nattokinase. Go to ketobrainz.com and talk to Molly in the chat room over there. She is a wealth of information, and she's always hanging out with us too. So here's the link. I'm putting it in the chats. Use promo code August. If you're a monthly sponsor, get in touch with me. Don't leave 5% on the table. You have a recurring 20% off. So make sure you use your special code. There it is in the chat room. And just please go ahead and jump in on that, because we'd love to get your name into the running. Okay, so we're opening up the lines. We're talking about culture and anything else you want to right now. What are you going to say?
No, just without reading the study or the article, it's interesting, because digestive problems, people tend to write them off as no big deal. Like, I have this, I have that, but compromised digestion, this is the way I was always trained, even before grad school. At NTA, is that digestion is the most north process. So if you're not digesting food, then you're not incorporating the raw materials to build neurotransmitters or to build anything else in the body. So it's interesting that by introducing those things, you need to break that cycle, because if you're not ingesting and breaking down the food to provide the raw material for the body to create all the things it needs to create, how are you ever going to get them into your body? That's why when we talked to Andrea at the Drip Bar, that's why that can be so important, because you can break the cycle by doing some things IV or intramuscular. But just really interesting that then Molly's product is one of those ways that might be able to help, because you're getting a higher dose of what your body might be struggling to absorb. And you mentioned stomach acid and pancreatic output. So it's just really interesting. Again, the body is a system, and to not understand the system is to fail the individual. And I think that's why, Molly does what she does. That's why I do what I do. So it's just interesting.
And when I saw her in the comments, I texted her and she said, here's the quote she said. She said, it does good, though, to help explain all the people who say that KetoBrainz heals their gut. It's a good reminder that nothing has just one singular effect in the body.
Yeah.
So there you go. Okay. 914-200-0269. Let's take a call. Go ahead, Willie.
Hey, oh man, I'm fucking up here. I don't have a shut up yet. Hey, Frank, good to see you. Can I talk to Jay for a second?
I'm right here, Willie.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah.
What do you know about ALS? I just went to visit one of my buddies, right? He used to be like 200 pounds and like 2 inches taller than me. I'm 6 foot, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like 6'4", right?
Yeah.
He's like 150 pounds right now and fucked up, right? But he looks me in the eye and we can talk, but his fucking speech center is fucked up.
Yeah.
You got any kind of, I don't know, miracle, something that make his voice work again? What the fuck, man? It's so scary. It's just so sad.
I know.
ALS, you know what ALS is about or something? That's what they're telling me he's got. I don't know what the hell's wrong, but man, the dude stood up. We're shaking hands. We're talking, right?
Yeah.
And I could speak to him and he understands and I could see it in his eyes, right?
Yeah.
He's got me by like 10 years or something. He's like 75 or whatever, right? But he just couldn't say stuff. He was trying to say squash in the garage because he had shit for my wife to bring vegetables home. It's just, how do you fix that fucking brain?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't mean to put you on the spot like that, but I mean, what the fuck, man? It's so sad.
I know.
I'm just fucking...
It's awful to see, man.
I don't want to get to that way.
If you want it to, if this is going to be, I mean, that's a mile deep thing, and it's very if you want to take that to the third hour, we can
do that. Yeah. I mean, I always look at neuroinflammation. So inflammation of the brain.
What can I help this guy out with, man? He's as tough as nails, man. He shook my hand like a ton of bricks, right? But he lost all kinds of weight, something. I don't know. I'm not trying to fuck up your show or nothing. It was just a really fucking kick me in the ass to see this guy. I mean, I was down, fucked up, right? This guy would bring me fucking pallets from my wood plastic bed. The guy's a hot shit, whatever. Vietnam vet, everything. He's like 70, so he's older, right? It was just, I don't know. I just want to try and help him some which way around.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if it's a fucking wrong thing to ask you, but I was so happy that you were there.
Man,
give him something because he looked me in the eye and he just couldn't talk, right? And when I was fucked up, when I had my broken neck, right, I couldn't talk, right, because the speech center gets fucked up somehow, right?
Yep.
When you're on opiates or something or whatever, his brain is still there, is what I'm trying to get at. And he stood up, and I don't know.
All right, well, let's take that to the third. We'll take that to the third hour.
I apologize for. Jay, what do you think? What's ALS, man? It's bad news, right? What does that do? It fucks up your whole body, right?
It is, but I mean, it starts in the brain, and we'll talk about it more in the third hour. I promise.
All right, thank you, pal. I'll let you go. Thank you, Frank. I apologize. I just seen it and think the dude was, like I said, 250 pounds, and now he's like 150 pounds. It's scary.
I got you.
All right, bye.
No problem, Willie. We'll take it to the flip side. We have a whole third hour there, and that's very. You're trying to solve 100 years of mystery right there. That's.
But I mean, at least
tough.
you can point people in the right direction. Whether you're talking, you're talking MS, you're talking autoimmune, and there are at least some things you can take a look at to start. Because for the most part, you're only ever told how it's going to progress. Right? How it's going to progress. Just like they tell you that type 2 diabetes is, progressive and chronic and there's no cure. And I'm like, well, I don't know about that. So.
Yeah. Don't know about that.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we have plenty of time to stretch out over there.
Yeah.
Well, again, the lines are open and we could talk about whatever the hell you want. Very rarely that at 8:20 p.m., we are actually able to get the lines open and talk to people.
That's because we had so many other topics, but they were too big, I think, to try to encompass into this show, and they wouldn't have been good segues. And so, yeah.
And so I said, you know what? To hell with it. We're going to do a little bit of a lighter load because every time we get together, we never have time for calls. So now you got about a half hour or so to call in and and just mix it up. It doesn't have to be health related. We're talking about culture over here too. You let it. The big question is, do you feel like where you grew up still has its own distinct culture? And also in the chat room I have a chat room poll that's up. And the chat room poll reads as follows. Let's see. Hold on. It still loads like it's 1998 over here.
You on dial-up?
Here you go. What makes a place feel like it? What makes a place feels like it? Feel like it actually belongs somewhere. Okay, so what I mean is locality. Mm-hmm. Whereas you go to one town, you go to one city, you go to one place that has its own culture. It feels like, oh, I feel like I'm in, Olmstedville. I feel like I'm in Pottersville again, or whatever the hell it is. And it's just like, but then all of a sudden that charm leaves. Something gets drained of its identity. Everybody's talking about a mass drainage, and they have tons of different aspects as to why that's happening. So I said, what makes a place feel like it actually belongs somewhere? And here were the comments. It was the local accent, food and local businesses, music, people, and traditions, and the way the place looks. 12% say the local accent, 17% say food and local businesses, and music and people and traditions is at 46%, with 25% saying the way that the place looks. And looks are changing here. My town is being demolished. Like
a main street in a small town is the kind of thing that I always look for whenever I'm going anywhere. I remember maybe 10 years ago, going to Burlington, Vermont, and walking down their little main street, and how cool it was to find like a record store, a local ice cream shop, things that, this is what I mean about chains. Like, you want to avoid chains. You want to go to a place that you don't even know what it is by the name necessarily, because you know that it's one of a kind and it's probably family owned. Those are the kinds of things that I think really make up, that small town vibe.
We used to have a small town main street.
Used to, I feel like.
We used to have a small town main street, and now it looks like White Plains.
Ugh.
It looks like White Plains.
I know all about White Plains.
Yeah.
I spent enough time there.
No, seriously. They're trying to jam a couple of city blocks of White Plains, New York, into my town here.
Yeah.
And actually this weekend, I might actually have some video of it over here. Aurora was filming it, and we were driving past an old corner of town that was being just torn down. It has now been completely brought down to nothing. And it was just old buildings that you say, was it worthy restoring, whatever the hell else? I'll tell you what's going up in its place. Another one of these beehive multi-purpose mixed-use spaces with probably a nice little, a rooftop lounge and shit like that. And I'm just wondering, where the hell are the people going to come from?
Yeah.
Because there's nobody, I don't know, man.
The weirdest thing in my neighborhood is that I've been saying this since they started doing it. There was just a ton of construction even just like right before COVID, all kinds of hotels were going up. And I was kind of laughing because I live like 1 block from the East River, and the subway is a 15, for me, probably 20, 25 minute walk. So it's not like it's really centrally located. And I was just kind of thinking, like, if they're not going to expand the train service down here, I don't see it as an inconvenience because I like walking. But I just think about all those hotels and who would choose to stay. I guess you could just hop on, take Uber everywhere. So I guess maybe it doesn't matter. But I'm just thinking about, like, all I see is hotels, but I see no commerce. I see nothing else. It's just hotels. And I'm like, and then of course, then you start to think, oh, this is all a grand plan, because once the borders opened in 2020, guess who showed up to all those hotels? And guess who's living in all those areas now? Oh, there's a whole bunch of people living out of minivans in my neighborhood now.
I have a fleeting suspicion that a lot of the things that are being built right now are eventually going to be places where the homeless are stored, that illegal aliens are given vouchers for, because I really do think that private ownership of these buildings are going to be like, I don't know how any of them are making any money.
Yeah,
they all have extreme amount of vacancy, because where the hell there's just no people. When I go to the park with Aurora, nobody knows each other. Nobody, you rarely see familiar faces anywhere.
That's weird.
It's very weird. I mean, when I would go out with my grandfather for any kind of errand, and when I was a kid, I'd jump into the back seat. We go downtown or something like that, the Pathmark or something like that, and wherever the hell we were, it was just people whistling at each other and yelling at each other from across the street. Everybody, what's going on? This one, everybody, saying each other's name. I'm listening to old men call each other their nicknames from years ago.
Yeah.
That shit is gone. There are little diasporas that pop up all over town. I think a lot of local businesses that are really doing well are the very ethnic restaurants that just have a lot of people that are, that just want a little taste of home, that are just constantly going there. And so I think there's a lot of food. I don't know what the hell else is going on.
Yeah.
That's why when they were going to tear this building down, I went to town hall and I said, listen, you're building a Potemkin village over here. I don't know where any of the occupancy is. I think it's all nonsense. And I just think that it's all for show. And I don't know what the real reasoning, the future reasoning for all this stuff is, because you're attracting a group of people. There's a lot of young professionals coming into this town that are coming from all over the place, from the Midwest, from Minnesota down to wherever the hell else. They're all over. And they come in here because a lot of them work from home, but they also want a really easy commute to the train station to get to Grand Central, and so they can work their job in the city or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we have the taxes that are going crazy, and and so a lot of the people who lived here for generations, they're taking their retirement and they're going to one of the Carolinas or Florida, where if you're on a fixed income, at least you're not getting taxed more every year, and you're not putting illegal immigrants to school. And then you have, so you have these young professionals that are very rarely having children and building families, and then you have illegal immigrants. Mm-hmm. And then there is this middle ground that used to be just the true anchor and the identity of the community that is just dispersing in every which way.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what's destroyed our village. And whoever controls the village now, they put out all those very same canned posts up on the Facebook about how diversity is our strength, when it has literally left us with nothing. Yeah. Like we're a town of strangers. It never used to be that way. How can you call this a strength? Yeah. Half the town would show up to, even if the Rams sucked, they would show up to watch the football game on a Saturday afternoon, just because everybody you knew was going to be there. Yeah. And somebody's nephew was playing. Somebody's niece was cheerleading. It's fucking, it's weird, man. It's an alien thing. And I have to imagine this transition is happening all over the place.
Yeah. And look, I mean, open borders, open societies. I mean, it's all, again, you homogenize a society and you really rip out the core of what that society was built on. And when there's nothing binding you together, then your loyalty is no longer to your community. Your loyalty might be to, I don't know, the state. Whoever's gonna, give you a universal basic income. And I mean, don't tell me that it's not all, sort of, forecasted and mapped out, and at least, I mean, I don't think it's accidental.
Well, let's take a call. Here's a guy who started off in New York and then went to Massachusetts. It's King. What's going on, man?
Hey, Frankie, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. So, what do you think? How have things changed for you? And because you've watched two places change. You've watched New York change, and your neck of the woods in New England. So, what do you got for this?
You really want to know? Because it'll be very difficult for me to give an uncensored, a censored take on this. It'll be very hard for me to censor myself, Frankie.
All right. Okay. So we get it then.
So you can take from that what you will. So you already know my opinion, and I'm sure the audience does as well. Well, Frankie, if you don't mind, since you got Jay in, could I ask him a medical question?
Sure.
Well, Jay, you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I mentioned a couple of years. I got this condition I mentioned a couple of years ago on Frankie's show. He probably don't remember.
Oh God!
But I got vitiligo on my ball bag, right? And
What?
it's very I got vitiligo on my ball bag. So it's very concerning to me because you know how the colors change white when they get it?
Yeah.
I ain't gonna turn into a colored, am I?
Oh, the reverse Michael Jackson as it's known?
Yeah. That ain't gonna happen to me, is it?
No, I think you're fine. I think
That
you're
would
fine.
be, but I'll tell you what though, Jay.
Yeah.
It has helped me with the black broads, cause like when I'm teabagging them, they feel like they're being teabagged by one of their own.
It's fair.
Well,
it's fair.
Hopefully, all of your fears have been allayed.
I'm hoping that you're using that as the profile picture on your dating profile.
What, my ball bag?
Yeah.
Huh. I haven't thought of that.
Yeah,
Maybe I
right?
ought to.
That should be.
Maybe hey, chicks. Remember I was going to start an OnlyFans for the chicks, Frankie?
Yes, I remember that. You didn't follow through.
Hey, I could do that. Hey, chicks, if I do an OnlyFans, you can see my vitiligo ball bag.
Oh God, that sounds so
sexy, right?
Yeah.
That's one word.
That's one way of saying it. Well, thank you for the call. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to hear from you again.
All right, brother. Thanks.
Take care.
King.
Let's just take a breath.
We should
for
just
a
end the
second.
show there.
Let's-
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
I did not know where that was going.
I thought I knew.
ideas.
I thought I knew where it was going, and it wasn't. It went somewhere.
One of the first calls that I got from King when I first was on the show was something about he had a girth problem, like too much girth.
Yeah. How do I? I get you.
Keep it under control?
That's usually what happens.
Yeah.
Lock Eden, thank you so much for sending a super chat. Remember, everybody, tonight, tomorrow, Thursday is we're giving away some silver. I've got a golden ticket for KetoBrainz, which is, of course, on top of all the things, all the ways that it's going to improve your health and your workflow and your working out and all the ways that I use it. Now you just know that it's going to go to work on that gut as well. So gut repair is part of it as well. So there's that. We also have the alien plushes in there. We're building up the second place prize for Thursday night.
I like that thing.
Everything here. Send a super chat. Support
Does it make
the
a
show.
noise, Frank?
No.
No.
Just,
it would have been cool if it played like the X-Files theme or something.
That would be good. 870, you're on the air. Go ahead.
So, Trump's Harley over here in Arkansas. How are you, Frank?
I'm doing well. It's good to get a call from Arkansas every once in a while.
So, when you grew up in a small town, 300 people, everybody knew everyone, and you guys hit you hit the nail on the head on how everybody used to know everybody. You used to have your local, very organic businesses. Everybody knew the owners knew your customers. And Jay kind of hit it also when he said, open borders. So small towns have become an open border for everything. And for someone that travels and you see, you travel large cities, small towns are looking like large cities just on a different scale. And for me, when I go back and people just don't know everybody in their communities anymore. Used to when I grew up, I grew up in the small town, graduated in '88, and you knew everyone. I mean, you knew people getting gas at the station. You know everybody at the diner. People don't do that anymore, and you've got all these different nationalities that's migrated into these small towns, and no one acclimates. And it's very strange.
Well,
strangest.
And tell me if this is true here too. It's that the secondary thing is that there is also a sense of familiarity that starts fleeting and going away, dissipating for the people who have been there for generations. And in that respect, then you start seeing that the very congenial small town where all the doors are left unlocked and stuff like that. Suddenly, there's just a little bit of a feeling of you don't know the people that surround you like you used to about 20 years ago, and you become a little bit more cloistered. And I think that is part of the reason why when I drive through a lot of small towns, rural areas, or very light patches of suburbs in the northern parts of New York State, it just seems like, not that people are unfriendly, it's just that they have been cloistered for a while, that they are no longer in the habit of really being social in their community. Like when you think about a community,
Yes.
it's not just that people have the American flag out and they grill at night and it's just a scenic area. You think about people coming over, stopping by, knowing who you can go to if you have an issue, and everybody almost being loosely related. That's what I feel like. Everybody seems like they have been in their own little way cloistering for a while.
Yeah.
And one other thing I think is doing all this is the drugs that's tearing people up. When I grew up, you had very few people that done major drugs. The drug has always been around, but now it's you see old people that's out here doing the hard stuff and looking like they're they're wore their bodies out and I don't know. Great question. I love the topic. I love the chats and conversation around it. But you're right. The culture in everywhere is coming. I don't know. It's changed in scale. It's the same everywhere but different.
Yeah.
I appreciate the call. Thank you so much.
I think there's got to be some element too of, just like, again, we don't want to solely blame technology because technology brings a lot of benefits. And I'm always torn with this. I'm one of those people who, loves gadgets and loves, always wanted to, live in this world where like this was possible and that was possible. But you can't be so naive to think that there's not a downside. And now you think about the amount, even just when we were kids, the amount of entertainment that is now at your fingertips, which is a substitute for leaving the house and riding your bike if you're a kid. But it's not just relegated to kids, because the addiction level to media, phones, all of those things, that knows no age limit. I have people that I work with every day that are telling me, and they're in their 60s and 70s, and they're like admitting to me this morning, somebody said, yeah, I really need to work on my TikTok scrolling problem. And I'm like, and I looked at the age and I was like, damn. So this is like pervasive. No one is immune. But again, like when we were kids, I just didn't even think of, the day was just hop on your bike, go out and you do things. Because, maybe there was a Nintendo at home, but like we weren't allowed to play it in the middle of the day, and, but now I just feel like there's so much people can do in their own silos, in their own homes, that they don't bother to go out there and know people and to do things. And I think that's a problem that we have to actively work to push back on. Again, I say it again, this is why you and I have been so aligned with saying like we need to have events so that at least we can be a small part of bringing people together and not have it be, this siloed experience in your own phone and your own algorithm thinking that is the world. That's not the world.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, and that's why the events will continue until morale improves. Okay, so here we'll take a couple more. The lines are open. We still have another 15 minutes left, and then we're going to the third hour on the flip side. And the first thing we'll talk about it. Oh, like Lock Eden just sent another super chat and said, "Tell Willie I know all about ALS and can help him. Mayo Clinic trained." Well, listen. Okay. On the flip side, it's one of the things that will be spoken about. It just, in 2 hours we have to keep, decently brief exchanges going on here, and that is a mountain. That's a mountain that we have to scale. But there's that and so much more. And on the flip side, in just 15 minutes. Pro Say Savage says, "Great show, guys. New Culture Club member. Let's go. Love you. Thank you so much." There's been a couple of you who have signed up. Few of you who have signed up, and there's the signups are starting to trickle in again, and it's great because I'm telling you, the Culture Club, that is books and movies. There's so much more that you get for sponsoring the show as an individual, and I want this show to be 99% funded by the audience. I love KetoBrainz. I love Molly's work, and that's why I want to keep her and everything she's doing close for as long as possible, because I'm going to be using it as long as she's in business. But it's really about being creating a connection with you guys. And the biggest connection there, aside from the fact that this is a show that loves you back and you love showing up every night, and I'm here and I'm working my ass off to make sure I'm always here at 7 o'clock and hanging with you guys and doing something interesting. But the films and the books that we're doing, that is a way from afar that we start really getting into reviving culture. We were a nation of readers. And film is a very classic thing. That's another form of expression and artistic expression that is worthy of everybody getting together, watching the same, even if it's just a shallow comedy. And I have a couple of shallow comedies that are in the feeder, but even the comedies we've watched have been really, really deep, like Fatso, Dominic DeLuise. The last back in April, I didn't know what to expect. It was so awesome.
I haven't seen that in a while.
Then we watched Idiocracy together, which is not a comedy. It's what happened.
It's not funny at all.
It's what happened. So, but
Your
I'm telling
children
you,
are now in the custody of Carl's Jr.
And
You
then-
are an unfit mother.
oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, that's not happening in Massachusetts. So yeah, thank you so much, Pro Say Savage. I promise you, whatever you signed up for, $5, $10, $20, if you became a pen pal, whatever it is, I'm going to work my ass off so you never regret a penny of what you've pledged. You're going to love it. Thank you. Jay Brits says, Jamuga.
Yes.
Lee Demon says, also the testosterone levels have dropped by 50% since 1970s, plays a role into health overall and in society. He also says, then he has a question for you, Jay, what peptides do you recommend for male athletes? I'm taking GHKU, TB 500, BCP 157, and NAD+.
That's a pretty good stack. I mean, you've got your repair molecules. You've got copper, which is great for repair. It's great for a lot of things. Angiogenesis. And what was the other one? TB 500, BPC,
NAD+.
NAD. Okay, for energy production. Yeah, I mean, those are pretty good. I mean, I think that one of the most important things you can do if you're an athlete is recovery. That's where, you work hard in the gym, but muscle is built in the recovery phase. So doing that Wolverine stack, TB 500 and BPC 157, that's a pretty good place to start. It's probably got the most research behind it. And then you can start to get into other, performance enhancing, like mitochondrial peptides, like MOTC or other things. I have not experimented with those yet, but I will.
Okay. So I asked you about that. I also send that to Molly because I've been seeing things about MOTC. We have to talk about that at some point.
We will. Yeah.
I'm interested into what people have been, sharing videos on Instagram and
anything that has to do with the mitochondria, which is pretty much everything, gets me very interested. And MOTC is very interesting because your body makes it. So it's very interesting.
Silly Boar says, howdy, Frank and Jamiroquai.
Hello.
Safety Net says Coconut Fund, One Love. Delona sends a can. Corey J, thank you. Amethyst says, happy Tuesday, Frank and Jay Gulinello Pompatitty. So that's just getting in there.
Yeah.
Swickly, what does Jalen think about NAD's IV? NAD's IVs.
Oh, NAD IVs, I would imagine. That's probably
Is it the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, so I think Andrea does that at the Drip Bar. That would be a great question for her. So, NAD is really interesting, and I have looked into it, and I've stopped looking into it, and then I've looked back into it. It's funny because I've used so many different supplements, just to try and experiment. If I haven't locked in on something, then I'm not as well researched on it. So NAD has a ton of potential, but I don't really have a ton of information on the IV portion. So, but if you happen to be in the New York area in October around Halloween, we're going to be doing a live presentation at the Drip Bar. So that's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. And
I'll be there.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about letting people see some of that talk because we're going to go into a lot of that stuff, not just what we do, Jen and I, but also how it relates to things like IV and intramuscular injections of peptides.
Nice. 276, you're on the air. Go ahead.
What's up, Frank?
Hello, who's this?
What's up, Jesse?
Hey, Uncle Jesse.
It's Big Red.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. What's on your mind? Okay. Let's go to 817. You're on the air. I don't know what's going on there. Cloud9, go ahead.
Thank you, Frank. My question for Jay is simply, Jay, what would you recommend for people who like to go out into the wilderness a lot and camp, specifically to put on like a bug repellent or a mosquito repellent specifically, so that way we don't get bit, but at the same time we're not putting, something chemically synthesized on our skin? Because I understand that, bug sprays like off have pretty harsh chemicals, and I was just curious about specifically like what types of natural remedies would there be for like bug spray, mosquito spray, tick spray, and then I'll just stop right there.
What a great question. And it's funny that you should ask, because maybe a couple of weeks ago I came across a crazy paper that tested somewhere in Africa, which I guess makes sense when you're talking about trying to protect people from malaria and mosquitoes. They were using catnip oil. And they found it to be as effective, if not more, than even DDT at repelling mosquitoes. So I went, and mosquitoes are magnetically attracted to me. So I went out and bought a little vial of catnip oil and diluted it. And I'm starting the experiment now. So you should try it as well, because it's pretty harmless. It's actually got a pretty decent smell. It's like a very earthy, natural kind of smell. But you can just dilute it in water, spray it right on your skin, and see how you do. But there's some pretty good new research on catnip oil being just as effective as all those harsh chemicals. So that's what I would recommend to start, because that's what I'm trying.
Sure. And then second question is, specifically in certain regions in the United States, I think, Frank, you've shown this on the show as well, that Iowa had the highest rate of cancer patients, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe that was linked to the chemical spraying on farmlands. And so I was just curious, specifically, is there any validity to certain regions having to deal with certain types of chronic diseases, autoimmune issues? Like, does the Northeast have something specifically that they should be concerned about, whereas the Midwest has something completely different?
Well, that's a really good question. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously environmental toxins are going to be one of the biggest things. I mean, I remember a case study I did in grad school with a person who lived above a garage, so they were inhaling a lot of diesel fumes and things like that. And we could actually see it in the blood in terms of, you'd see elevated levels of things like cadmium and things like that. So sometimes you can look at someone's blood, and I've done this several times, blood or urine, and you can actually kind of predict what they're being exposed to. I wouldn't necessarily know, although it seems like now, things are, again, homogenous in terms of what we're all being exposed to, whether that's being sprayed in the air, in the atmosphere, or the kind of thing that we're consuming. So you may be directly exposed to higher levels of something like glyphosate because you're living around farmland that's being sprayed. But if you're eating a copious amount of fruits and vegetables that are non-organic, you may be getting a similar exposure level. So I'm not totally sure about, regional exposures, but what I can tell you for sure is that if you go and get like some functional panels done, whether it's blood and or urine, you can actually see in the blood and or urine the most likely culprits, especially if you've got symptoms, but you can actually see likely what you're being exposed to. And specifically a test called an organic acid test can actually tell you very specifically what you may be being exposed to. So rather than looking at it from like a geographical perspective, I try to look at everybody individually and determine what their exposure level is based on what I see in their blood work and urine, and then kind of go from there, because I can pick and choose what I'm going to use to try and remedy that situation.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure. That's a good question. I don't know if there is. It would be great if there was a map or something. I know they do that for ticks. Like
clusters.
Where's the Lone Star tick lately? Yeah. That kind of thing.
Yeah, where has it been?
Look around Plum Island.
Yeah. I thought that was something that we should really do. A dive into all the Plum Island claims, because I remember a while ago I thought that there was some kind of it was on the congressional record that there was that Lyme disease was something that was developed by us. I remember this years ago. I forget what the hell it was now. I have to figure out if I'm just remembering it wrong.
I do know that if you draw a concentration map, a circular map around, and where the highest concentration of the cases of Lyme disease were, the epicenter of that circle was Plum Island.
Well, it was directly across the Long Island Sound.
Yeah, Lyme, Connecticut. Yeah,
right across the Long Island Sound, and you say to yourself, well, Isn't that interesting? I mean, if there is something that a bird, if there's any kind of migration pattern from birds that are in Plum Island, they go right across the Sound to Lyme, and all of a sudden these ticks start, whatever the hell, I don't know what the hell it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to start talking about culpability. You have to talk about, what was planned and what's an accident.
Right. Of course.
So I don't,
there's no doubt that we do a lot of dangerous research. Let's just put it that way.
A lot of dangerous research.
Yeah.
No doubt. Thank you to Delona, Sean Joe, and Amethyst Cat, Mosey, Valhalla, Ginsters for the Coconut Fund, and Powder Donuts says a cookie and a donut for the Jam Boy. Let's take one more call from 216. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank. So I think, first off, I think the number, this is Ghetto Boy, by the way. Hi,
Hello.
Jay.
Hey, what's up, man?
So I think the number that's reported of people that have died in the past few years, I mean, we all know that there's been manipulation, everything but COVID killed these people. But I think there's way more people overall that have died because I just don't see anyone out. I mean, there's like brief periods where you'll see a bunch of people out, but it really seems like there's been a reduction.
Okay.
Noticeable.
Okay. All right. You know what?
And then for Willie, Dr. Makis was just on Alex Jones talking about ivermectin helping ALS and Alzheimer's. And that was a single high dose of ivermectin, people that didn't speak and were like catatonic suddenly started recognizing faces after a single dose. And so,
well, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't heard that, and I don't. We got to be careful about
Oh yes,
what
third hour. Sorry, buddy.
Well, I mean, even then, there's a lot of people out there who are really desperate to figure something out that is, of course, categorized in every mainstream metric as being very serious to terminal to whatever. There's a lot of prognoses out there that people are willing to, if they just hear anything, they'll go out there and they'll just improvise. So even if you have a third hour location where you can just talk openly about things,
Right.
That
Well,
people
Frank, it wasn't just like some crackpot. I mean, it was a studied thing. If you just do it,
Okay,
and the guy said you can't look on Google.
Okay, all right.
Because it's been blacklisted on Google. You just have to go on DuckDuckGo or
drop it.
Yandex. And you'll find the study.
Okay, well, drop the send us the study or something like that. And thank you for the call. It's just one of those things where we're playing a game of telephone right there. That's all I'm saying. I heard somebody on Alex Jones the other day. Well, okay, well, send it over. Let me read it so that people don't go out there and sauce themselves up with it.
Because you have to wonder what is the doctor speaking anecdotally or is he speaking from research or from his own patients? Just a lot of factors you need to understand.
I wouldn't be surprised. If all the things. How many things that people say was a death sentence or something that is just going to. How are we going to manage your decline? What does the progression look like? Like you said, I don't believe that there are any incurable ails.
Right.
So as Ozzy said, and then but at the same time, I don't know what else to say. Here's okay, but what he was saying there though, Ghetto Boy, about people like disappearing.
Yeah,
there is that. There are places where they're completely overrun. There are places where small towns have been completely changed quickly by imported groups who are breeding like rabbits, and all of a sudden it changes quick. There are other places, like I know that we have a lot of people in this town. But to be totally honest with you, Jay, recently I've been wondering just how many we have. Like I know that demographically we've changed, and it's a lot of Spanish-speaking people. A lot of them are not citizens, but I've also had quite a few people tell me, "Yo, I don't know if you noticed this, but I haven't seen as many immigrant types hanging around lately, and rumor has it that ICE has been doing a lot of work around here."
Oh, that could be for sure.
And but it's more. I don't know, man. I don't know what to take.
I made the joke after COVID, like the morbid joke that, well, when when I started going back to the hospital, once I was allowed to go back, well, traffic should be a lot lighter now. It's, we all lived through a pandemic and we should notice, I was like, nah, I didn't notice anything. The traffic patterns didn't change. But now is
why? Because people dead?
Yeah, because it's like the whole thing. We lived through a pandemic and all these millions of people died and all, and I went back to work and I was like, I'm still sitting in traffic in the morning. It looks exactly the same to me.
No, yeah, the traffic, the traffic during the lockdowns was actually kind of amazing.
Oh, it was. Because there was a brief period of time where I was still going back to the hospital, and I was kind of like, "This is cool."
It was almost like for me as a coping mechanism, I was pretending that the governor had made everybody stay home so I can get around easier. Because I was
thinking it was like I Am Legend, I was like, I'm in that movie, or the opening scene to Vanilla Sky, when Tom Cruise is actually in New York and he's out there I don't remember where it was in New York, but he was out on a New York street and it was just him. And he was freaking out, and obviously it was a dream, but that moment that's kind of a couple mornings I was like, oh, okay. But then it all went back to the way it was.
It all went back. Yeah. But I was never staying home. I mean, there were weeks I remember, it's like, thank God for the studio, because there was only 1 week or so, maybe 2 weeks. It was in April of 2020 when lockdown orders were given. And that is when my coolant system over my computer broke.
Oh yeah.
You remember? I mean, that was the week I was going to announce that we were pregnant with Aurora.
That's right.
And then my computer breaks, and during the time that I had to wait for a new CPU coolant system to come in and then to install it and all that stuff over here, I had to improvise my shows from home. So for about a week or two, I literally had no reason to leave my street. And I felt there were some days where just walking out onto the back porch and going outside felt like walking onto the surface of the moon. It felt so weird. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, thank God that, once I got this computer fixed, at least I was coming here every night.
Yeah.
Because I had to, that was awful.
Yeah, no.
For everybody, that you should definitely get onto the Quite Frankly community post. Here's the post about, do you feel like where you grew up still has its own distinct culture? There are great responses here, and we will get to a few of them on the flip side, but you should add your own and talk to other people that are there. But there's Work Guy, Canarsie, Brooklyn, 1980s, very different now. I have fond memories, though. And, we have more people. Kathleen Floor Cruz, I'm from Michigan. It is no longer Michigan.
Oh, man.
Lois Francis, Minnesota. That's all she had to say.
Does anybody out there see kids riding bikes anymore? Because that was just in.
No, they all have motorcycles now.
Oh, yeah.
They're in electric. They're in e-bike motorcycle crews.
I see that way too much.
And they all wear face masks. But I'm talking like ski masks, almost like they're bank robbers.
I do see that a lot too in my neighborhood. But I don't know.
Fucked.
I mean, I just remember. I mean, it was just a staple. Kids on bikes was just. You could run into another gang, like with your gang. You know what I mean? Like, oh look, there's 5 kids with bikes. Are they friendlies? We rode everywhere. And then you got old enough and you could ride on the main road. That was the big thing. Because I lived like in a little neighborhood, kind of like you do.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can ride on the main road, when I got old enough. And I don't know if that stuff, I just don't see kids on bikes anymore.
On the main road. Anyway,
that was a big deal.
Join us on the flip side, everybody. At 9:03, we're about to cut off right here. Please go to healthreclamationproject.com. The link is in the description. Jay comes and spills everything he's got on the show every time that we're talking. Tonight, there was actually a lot of like health and science related articles out there that I'm happy we got to talk about and mix it in with all the other stuff. But I mean, this wealth of information has been really embodied inside of healthreclamationproject.com between he and his wonderful partner, Jenny. Really information, support systems, advanced things if you want to do as far as, actual one-on-one attention. But I'm telling you, just the network that they set up is great. Most of your people are members of this audience, and I hear nothing but incredible things about it. And people are always taken care of by you too. So there's that. Go check them out.
Yeah.
And get to the flip side, because we're going to be talking until about 10, and we have a lot of leftover stuff plus your calls, and it's going to be a good one. So thank you so much. And also go to KetoBrainz.com. Fix your gut, fix your brain, get everything on, and also take care of your heart, your circulation, and break up or prevent any of the clots that we have to think about from time to time in the future with the nattokinase. That's 2 parts of the Quite Frankly stack. The third part was electrolytes, but of course the salty's not there right now.
Oh, that's what plants crave.
Yeah, that's what I know. She should start actually selling Brondo.
I know.
That's on KetoBrainz.com. Get Brondo, get your nattokinase, and the KetoBrainz creamer. Use promo code August. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
All right, everybody. The link is in the chat room. If you can't find the link, then go to quitefrankly.tv. Come to the flip side. My friends, we will be waiting for you, and we love you all. Thank you all so much. And I think we just saw, there's a last-minute Rumble rant. The only one tonight came in from Haywood. Says, Jacoby, is there anything you can do to make sure Coconut is born on my birthday, November 2nd? I don't know. You just never know. That's I can see that happening. It's only 4 days early. Aurora was 3 days early. But no, there's no way to actually make that happen. But good luck to you, sir. Go on Kalshi, and you can place a bet. All right, talk to you soon.